Hello and welcome to the Unwanted Opinion podcast, the show which me and my friends give our unwanted opinion on all things film. My name is Lewis and I'm joined today with Kyle.
Hello.
Let him drink that drink. There we go, he got there in the end, he got there just in time. I was drinking that slowly. Right, and Gonzalo.
Hey, how we doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
what was in that drink?
I can't say.
Legally? Oh my
God.
God.
I can't mention the brand of diluting juice that's in that drink.
Sure, not until we get a sponsorship
Not
deal.
until I get a sponsor.
Yeah,
But if Robinsons want to sponsor us, that would be class. Not that it is Robinsons, but if it was.
Yeah,
Well,
I think they're busy sponsoring, Wimbledon, that's
Yes.
quite...
Let's just make it clear for any brand wanting to sponsor us, we will drink any brand and tell you that it's the
That's
best
true.
brand ever. Yes.
I do. I mean, I like if it's alcoholic, I like everything except cider's a bit. So
I like
That's
everything.
not a good
I
sign,
could do
Lewis,
that
when you
one.
just say it like that. Like, when it comes to alcohol, I like anything.
actually, I like most drinks. I don't like energy drinks. I really don't like Monster or Red Bull or anything.
I don't like energy drinks either, but I'll drink it if they pay me to. So
Yeah, me
But
too.
you-
I'll
but-
say
but-
I'll say it's
but-
fantastic.
But I have to say, Lewis, were you not? I mean, I don't know how much I can say. Were you not quite a fan of a certain caffeinated alcoholic beverage? Did you not have?
Why are you been
Hiding
smoking minutes
it.
here? Why can't you just say
No,
that?
I
it sounds
know,
so
I
much
can say that,
worse
but
when
like-
you don't say it.
Yeah, no, but Dragon Soup. Were you not quite a fan of those?
Oh, yeah,
back in the
Dragon
day?
Soup.
Yeah, I mean, I'd drink a
I
can
would-
or something of it, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
drink it like all the time. Like it would be, I'd have a fucking heart attack.
I was there to make sense. That's all I'm saying.
Dragon
that's true,
Soup
that's true,
is
but
a very
I used
apt
to be one.
name, though. That drink definitely tastes like
Also,
the
you
insides
say
of
that
a
you would drink
dragon
energy
swirled
drinks, but
around.
if somebody walked up to you and went, "Here's a Jaeger bomb," I do not see you going, "Actually, I don't drink Red Bull."
Yeah, I mean, Jaeger bombs are past. Anyway, I guess we should get on with the show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink a Jaeger bomb. Someone wants me a shot. Jaeger bomb. It's free alcohol. Anyway,
That's
on
the
today's
Lewis
show,
we know.
yes, me and Kyle have a bunch of reviews for you today. We've got 5 reviews to get through today.
Yes,
So
and
this
I am here.
and Gonzalo's here. Gonzalo's here.
I get
for-
to say,
ask some-
oh yes, interesting. For the whole episode.
yeah, but also you do ask some insightful questions, Gonzalo, and
I-
that's why we like you.
I do.
So
I am
nothing
annoying.
else. It's just that reason.
The only reason.
But yes,
Yeah.
on today's episode, we have reviews for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, a sequel to the sequel reboot that
A
came out
legacy
Afterlife
sequel.
that came out. Legacy sequel, yep. As well as Immaculate, the new Roadhouse remake, Drive Away Dolls, and Late Night with the Devil. So, all that to get through.
Yeah.
So let's get underway. So Kyle, you're the only one here that's seen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Yes.
So please
So,
tell us all about it.
Let's call Kyle.
You are welcome for that.
Okay.
So
I am.
Ghostbusters Frozen after Empire.
Yes.
Brief synopsis: the
We get
Spengler
Sid from Ice
family.
Age making a cameo.
Yeah,
Most
the
important
Spengler.
thing.
Shut up. The Spengler family returns to where it all started, the iconic New York City firehouse, to team up with the original Ghostbusters. That's the first issue. Who developed a top secret research lab to take busting ghosts to a next level. But when the discovery
yes,
of
it
an
makes them
ancient
feel good.
artifact unleashes an evil Ghostbusters. Oh my god, sorry. New and old must join.
Ghostbusters?
Must join forces to protect their home and save
Yeah.
the world from a second ice age. This is not a good film. I'm just gonna say that right
just
now.
a small correction there. You mean a 5th Ice Age?
He's looking at his notes.
Yeah.
He's looking
No.
at his notes.
Because
That's
there's
not
been
what this
4
plot
Ice
says.
Ages so far. So.
Dan Aykroyd told him 4, so
Dan
Yeah, I've seen
Aykroyd,
four so
Bill
far,
Murray
so-
came out and went an ice age, and then walked away. Like Bill Murray probably said something like, "Oh, it's cold out here," and then got like $15 million, and then it was like, "Great job on set, guys."
He just walks.
yeah,
Dan
right.
Aykroyd just walks in and
So-
says, "Warming up makes me feel good."
Yeah,
walks
so
away.
Frozen Empire is directed by
Yeah.
Gil Keenan, who is known for directing Monster House, the 2006 animated film.
That was a weird
oh,
one.
Monster
Isn't-
House. That was
yeah.
a good. I
Mate,
liked Monster
yeah.
House.
This is actually
See-
shocking to me because I'm like, how can you
Yeah.
make a good monster film and then
Yeah.
fuck up Ghostbusters? I just don't
Dude,
understand.
I think there was more behind the scenes
Yeah,
problems on something like this
so-
than there would be with Monster House.
There is he also co-wrote Afterlife, Alongside him, he co-wrote it with Jason Reitman, and I believe Isaac Reitman is technically still credited as a writer, because I believe he maybe helped write a draft of it before he passed away in 2022. I think it was 2 years ago he passed away. It stars too many people.
I saw that.
Let's just stop right there, because there's too many people. Newcomers is Kaman Najani, who you will probably know from Eternals most recently.
Eternals, the big sick,
The poor man just keeps coming into franchises that are just dying. James Adcaster, who is a British
was she
comedian.
was she the one fun character in that? The Speedy lady? Is that her?
No, he's the guy with the kind of gun plasma things.
Oh yeah.
The one that's a Bollywood actor.
Yeah.
Generations. And then James Adcaster,
really
who's a British comedian who's in this. Right. What we have here is the basic story is, like I said, the Spenglers are back in New York City in the famous firehouse because one of the other guys gave him it.
Nostalgia.
One of the old Ghostbusters who are still kicking. And you start off with them kind of going around busting up the city with like one ghost at the start, and then that's really it for most of the film. And then it's like that's a huge issue. But moving on, they bring back fucking random characters from the first film that you're like, nobody knows this. Nobody knows this. Stop this. And there's a whole. One of the big issues with this film is that everybody's trying to have some sort of character development thing where you have too many characters on screen. Like Phoebe, who's McKenna Grace's character, who's the kind of main one of Afterlife, the kind of granddaughter of Egon. She's basically, they do a scene, she's like, what age are you? She's like 15, and then the police guy's going, yeah, you should be doing this. Like, you're banned. And I'm like, oh, no shit, she should be doing this, but that's not the point. Finn Wolfhard's character, Trevor, is like 18. He's like, I want to become an adult. And then Paul Rudd's there. Paul Rudd's there. He's like stepdad there. I don't really know. But so we basically have it that the old Ghostbusters are kind of kicking around. Dan Aykroyd's in this too much.
Sounds like Dan Aykroyd.
He runs like an old store where he does like a kind of shitty podcast where it's like bringing artifacts and
isn't that just like Dan Aykroyd in real life though?
I can't remember his name. So Kuman Najin, who from the Eternals, basically brings in this artifact that was his grandmother's, and it contains this big spirit, and it's like, oh, what do you do?
Is it the cold spirit?
Madeline Grace character befriends a normal ghost. He's just there. Who is connected. There's so much wrong with this film, right? There's nothing actually makes sense. They're trying to do too much in it. They say this is trying to be like more to the feel of episode of the Ghostbusters TV show that came out in like the 80s, the animated shit.
Well, I can see logic like that. Why are you trying to make a movie,
mate?
A big
that's the thing.
Blockbuster film like an episode of a TV show? Like, don't do that.
That's film. Nostalgia. The thing that annoys me so much, I've got my notes right, is it is so simple to make a Ghostbusters movie, yet apparently so fucking hard because they can't do it.
Yeah.
I really think now after watching these films that Ghostbusters really, if it wants to be really brought into this present day, it should do a monster by monster TV series, like a monster of the week.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the best way to do it.
A Ghostbusters show would be fantastic, honestly. Just like
or
episode of the week,
something like the Frozen.
Week.
Yeah, or if you're doing something like the Frozen Empire, which by the way for this it's like Frozen 5 minutes because it's literally in the last 10 minutes that this guy
having
comes
seen
out
the trailer, there's
like
2 shots of ice
the
in
world.
It, so.
And I'm like, mate, why not do that in like the first 20 minutes and then it's the entire thing of the Ghostbusters trying to actually solve it with everybody frozen and like people dying. Apparently that's nothing. Not much ghost busting. Like I said, it actually does lack on the ghost busting material. And it's like, it's weird because it suggests, like, it kind of teases like the idea of like, oh, we're using a drone to capture them. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. You're bringing a bit of new technology in, but you're still using a really shit hearse. I'm like, right, yeah, cool. I know it's the Ecto 1, but maybe just make something new. And you're trying to bring it into new audiences. It really, there's some dialogue with the comedy.
I will say,
oh my god, so bad. Like, Lewis, there's one scene that you would have walked out the door, and I'm not kidding.
no.
You would have walked out, right? So they have to go. They're trying to translate the writing on it, and they have to go find what's his name? What's he called? Patrick Oswalt, the actor. You know, the kind of shorter kind of guy. Yeah. So he plays a doctor in he's located in the library, and I'm just gonna say that because you know it. They're walking out. Dan Aykroyd just looks down a corridor, and it's the ghost.
It's the
and
library
I swear,
ghost. It's the library ghost.
I swear to God, they could have just taken. They might just reuse the footage because there's nothing different. She looks at him and he goes, and she does the scream, and that's it. 20 seconds of nothing.
That's
20
so
seconds of just genuinely, here's an old scene
It's
from
just
that first
nostalgia
movie that we're just going to
basically.
squeeze.
Yeah.
That's not even nostalgia based. Like, see, having Slimer, he's in the attic causing havoc, and it's a wee side plot for a Finn character. That's, I think, it's called nostalgia bait. That is just rehashing shit that should not be rehashed.
Yeah.
This is why I couldn't so I couldn't go see this film because I couldn't bring myself to do it. It's not I didn't have any plans. Because of how much I hated Afterlife. I thought Afterlife was just like the worst criminal and nostalgia bait entertainment. And in this day and age, that's saying a lot. I really hated it, and I really thought the whole stuff they did with him. Oh my god, what's his name? What was his name?
Egon.
Egon.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Egon,
thank you. Egon, bringing Egon back with the whole CGI. I thought I really did not like that. And just like that Afterlife was basically just redo the second half of Ghostbusters, and I was just enraged. Because I was like, Ghostbusters is like just a brilliant idea to bring out so many creative options and ghosts and different designs, and it could be endless. It really could be. And Afterlife was just doing the same shit. And here's the Marshmallow Man, and here's Zool, and it just sounds like the Library Ghost and the Marshmallow Man and Ecto 1. They're just doing it again. It's just sad. It's just so sad.
The actual people criticize really underwhelming and just useless. There's a part in it. So the idea is sorry. Before I say there's another part that really annoys me. Purely for the fact that they were trying to bring everybody together. You know how the firehouse is meant to be like the central rift and everything, and that's why it's there. So the ice demon person freezes New York, except for the house which he needs to get into. So the Ghostbusters are like holding down the fort, except for Bill Murray's character, who like had a small like appearance early in the film, but then kind of just vanishes. And then there's a knock at the door, and it's all the classic Ghostbusters plus the receptionist because she's there, getting ready to get ready. And they open the door, and it's Bill Murray. He's like, "Oh, hey guys," and I'm like, "Mate, New York is frozen. You're not alive. There's just, like you are destroying your own logic for this kind of stupid comedic thing." And then he does a thing where it's like, "Oh, tall, dark, and horny at 12 o'clock," and I'm like, "Oh."
Right. So, Kyle, what will you be giving Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire?
I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10. It is bad, but I have to say it is more of a movie than Madam Web was, because I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, "Oh, this is worse than Madam Web." I don't. As a film, it is not worse than Madam Web.
It has structure.
There was definitely people trying here, like the younger cast. They're doing what they do, you know. And
that's the thing that annoys me most about this, because like the younger cast did a really good job in the first one, and it is kind of sad that they didn't give them a better script, because I think they are like definitely they really definitely wanted to put some work into this, you know, and like they're actually trying.
It's too much of a nostalgia bait. It's too much. It's just I want them to stop. You can do it so simple. You just go in with a new set of eyes. Don't even have it in the same universe, but have nothing connected. New people, new equipment, busting ghosts.
I'm surprised though. What you told me, Kel, is that they didn't sequel bait at the end of this film.
No, it wraps up very quickly. Like the ghost is done. The ghost goes away. I don't know. It's locked away. I don't know actually what happens to the ghosts. They walk out the firehouse, and you know, apart from the fact that everybody's just unfrozen, there's already like 80 camera crews and everybody with like, you know, on the house, and they all come out and they're clapping, and then the police guy comes up, or the mayor he is now, and he's like, you Ghostbusters, you. And then Dan Aykroyd goes, well, technically we saved everybody. and then it goes, oh yeah, and then everybody hugs, and the camera pans out, and it's done, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Well, so there we go. Don't go see Ghostbusters this weekend.
Don't go see Ghostbusters.
Go watch many other films that we're going to talk about, or Dune, or
go watch Dune Part 2 again.
Yeah, go watch that. Yeah. Anyway, Kel, right? So let's move on. Let's talk about this Roadhouse remake. So yes, Roadhouse. Here we go. The 2024 film was directed by Doug Liman, who most famously did films like Edge of Tomorrow and The Bourne Identity. This was also written by Anthony Bergerozzi, Chuck Mondry, and R. Lance Hill. And so yeah, The Roadhouse. This is, like I said, remake of the 1989 Patrick Swayze film that is iconic. Made very popular by the whole meme on Family Guy as well. And so this time around, though, it follows an ex-UFC fighter named Dalton, who's played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and as he now kind of lives this life of earning a living through underground street fights, just going to place and just picking up the wager or wherever the people are betting on. But then he's approached one night by this woman named Frankie, who's played by Jessica Williams, who offers him the chance to earn a proper life as the bouncer for her bar in Florida called the Roadhouse. So then, after some consideration, after a whole incident involving a train, he arrives in the Four Keys in Florida and begins, cleaning up the Roadhouse and making it a respectable establishment once again. But as things progress, he finds out there's a much seedier reason as to why, others want to take the Roadhouse. And that is all I'll say about the Roadhouse remake. So, yes. Kyle, what are your overall thoughts on Roadhouse?
This film knew what it was and delivered that, which I think is the best way of describing it. It gives a very kind of classic-y, almost western, where a guy appears at a town,
point that out,
solves a situation, because there's discussion about that, and then fails, and then it's like that, and I'm like, it knew what it was and it delivered.
The Lone Ranger comes in, gets rid of the bandits, saves the town, walks away. Yeah.
You have Dalton, who is a very kind of troubled character. I thought the humour was quite good in it, because they do a big joke about it.
Yeah, the humour works for the most part.
It's like,
Jake Gyllenhaal sells it. Mm-hmm.
There's a great line that I particularly liked, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a roadhouse called the Roadhouse. He goes, yeah, my uncle named it. And then he's talking about Summer to Love. He goes, oh, I saw this houseboat. And she goes, oh, it's mine, coincidentally.
Yeah.
You can have it. Oh, by the way, my uncle named it as well, and it's just called The Boat. And I found that quite funny.
That was good,
I thought that was great fun. Overall, I enjoyed the action. I thought it was solid. The villain I thought was quite funny. I was a bit worried when I first saw him on screen. I was like, whoa, but the more I think about it, the more it's just so funny.
We'll get into the Conor McGregor in the room in a bit, but so like you, Kelly, it knows what it is, and I said this to you when I watched it, because I was actually really surprised by this, because
you were.
I was not expecting much, a straight to Prime Video remake of the 80s film, which also the 80s film is absolutely bonkers. I watched that recently, and I was like, oh my god, I thought that the remake was bonkers. The 80s one is weird. But and then what I liked about it is that there's so many, modern films now, or like films that, when they remake things or reboot things, they tend to have like quite a tongue-in-cheek approach to it, self-deprecating humor. Look how stupid this is, look how goofy this is. Things like like Bullet Train and Deadpool and all that, kind of like poke fun at all that. Look at what we're doing.
It's a very 2000s kind of thing of like. I remember like the whole friggin' X-Men, the first X-Men, where they're like, "What? Do you think we should be wearing yellow spandex?" Kind of thing. Where it's like, it's like we're a bit scared of what we are, so let's make fun of it.
So I was kind of expecting the Roadhouse remake to do that. I was like, oh, look how stupid this is. Look how stupid this situation is. Oh my god, this one lone bouncer is going to clean up the town. You know what? Yeah, he is, and it doesn't take itself too seriously either. It doesn't. It rides the line quite well, which I thought was really good. Like you're saying with the fights, Kyle, the choreography's great. Having Conor McGregor as one of your main villains really lends itself, because of course, an absolutely incredible UFC fighter, multiple champions.
How is he as an actor?
Championship belts. Well, we'll get to that.
Because I know he's a brilliant fighter.
When it comes to the physicality, fantastic stuff, because the fights can get really nasty and really the final fights The final half an hour of this film goes crazy. I was saying to this kill, there is this boat kill that I just loved. It just plays in my head in a loop that I just love that what they do to kill this guy with a speedboat. I'm like, oh, it's absolutely so cool. And the final fight and all the stuff in between is pretty well handled. I mean, Doug Liman is a really good action director, so that's kind of what you'd expect. Now, Conor McGregor, look. Conor McGregor is not a good human being. He's actually quite a deplorable person, really. So putting him as a, kind of a lead guy in a film, I was like, oh. And then when you see him, he is just Conor McGregor. He's not anyone else. All you see is Conor McGregor. He's an absolute psychopath. He was probably on drugs the entire time shooting this thing. But I kind of bought into it. His psychopathic behaviour and performance, and it's Conor McGregor doing all this and spouting stuff left, right, and centre, and just like when he parks his car, he just rams it into a tree and then gets out the car. And I'm like, that's kind of something he probably would do. So it kind of weirdly worked for me. It's not a good performance.
So he wasn't basically.
He's a psychopath.
He was just being
I don't
himself,
know.
Basically, he wasn't.
It's a great recurring theme that he just doesn't park. He just rams in.
He just crashes into
once.
shit.
He just does it again and again. And he walks with like a really like exaggerated swagger, and it's like got the accent. What's that flat? And it's quite. It's a shock when you first see it. You're a bit like, oh,
yeah. You're like, oh, yeah.
And then you do kind of just acknowledge it.
I mean, look, my friend. I should say that my friend Harris watching it, he was just like, no, he was just terrible the entire time and really distracting. But because the film, when he enters the film, things then progress to get like more bonkers and bonkers, and then when you get to like the final half an hour, you're kind of like,
so him being in the film is not even the craziest thing that happens halfway through.
Well, no, I mean he is actually a psychopath. It is funny when like the other villain, I can't remember who plays him. You look at the son who's trying to take the Roadhouse, the business guy, and he's like, oh god, this psychopath again, and he's even like tired of this guy being here. Like, I don't want to have this. This guy's actually making the situation worse, even though he's meant to work for me. I kind of like that whole thing, and I would love to see the behind the scenes stuff of how they all got on and like shot these scenes. I really would like to see that.
It was quite funny.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'd be very interested in knowing how harrowing the making of this movie was, because Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor, that doesn't sound like a movie I want to be in. But
but like, for what it is, with Jake Gyllenhaal as well, I never really talked about it, but I think they do this thing where throughout the majority of it, he's a very soft-spoken, quite a gentle guy, who can of course just beat the shit out of anyone. He's obviously a very talented fighter, and like he's but he's like controlled. And then you get to the point in the film where, like I say, that last half an hour, everything just dials it up to 11. Where then he just goes insane and starts to lose it. And I'm like, this is the ambulance Jake Gyllenhaal. This is the crazy guy from that film coming out. And I really liked they did that whole thing with his anger. You see a different side of him, which is quite good. I think he's a really good lead. I think he really carries the whole thing quite well.
There's very much like a hand clapping moment, him going, right, murder. And then he just
we're doing this now. Let's do it. I mean, look, it's not perfect. It's like they have the kind of the half baked romance, and they have that whole. I did kind of like the relationship with him and the little girl. Who the whole bookstore stuff, which is a very pivotal plot point later on. With the whole bookstore. It was decent. I was entertained. It's not perfect,
How
it's got problems.
Does it stick to the original one as a remake? Because you've recently watched the original one. How do they compare?
So different locations, different whole kind of deal. They do have those. This one is like they have this business owner who's trying to take over and like build a whole big rich
resort or something like
that where the Roadhouse is. And in the original it was just you had this business owner who kind of controlled the town by like basically being a mobster and so give us 10% of your business.
So the new one is more of an 80s plot than the old one then. Rich guy wants to like pave all of this and turn it into a mega hotel resort. Like that's just the most 80s villain thing in the world. That's kind of funny. It's kind of
funny that they do that. The Dalton character is actually quite different. Swayze is like his character.
I mean,
he's not an ex-UFC fighter. He's a philosophy student, or like graduated from MIU from philosophy, and is this very calm, controlled figure until, much like this one, he doesn't become that later on. But yeah, action-wise, location-wise, it does actually. It feels like a different film. I would actually probably say I preferred the remake a little bit more. It doesn't obviously have that 80s charm and kind of goofiness, and the 80s one is also bonkers. But I think as an action film, I think the remake, and I think Jake Gyllenhaal as a lead is just a more engaging Dalton than the Patrick Swayze character. Although they're very different versions of that character. But yeah, Kyle, what are you going to give Roadhouse?
I mean, it's getting a very respectable 7 out of 10. It was fun. It knew what it was. Don't take it too seriously, and you'll have a good time. Easy.
I couldn't agree more. I'm also giving it a 7 out of 10. It's not perfect. There's certain things, choices that are like, why did you do that? Like the whole shaving scene on the boat was just weird and distracting. Didn't understand why. It was an exposition scene. Why are you doing that? The romance, a bit iffy, but yeah, it's fun, and the last half an hour was a real treat. I enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, okay, so I will do Immaculate now, I guess. So
yeah, go for it.
Immaculate, right? So it was directed by Michael Mohan and written by Andrew Lobel. This is the latest horror film by Neon, and stars Sydney Sweeney, and also executive produced by Sydney Sweeney. So yeah, so after this whole sort of creepy opening, we begin in this nun's convent in Italy, and there's this nun trying to escape, and why is she trying to escape? We don't know, and then of course she doesn't make it, and that's sort of the beginning 5 minutes, beginning tense sequence we get. We then jump to now like the present day, and it's Cecilia, who's played by Sydney Sweeney, is a devout Catholic who's ready to take her vows and become a nun, and she was contacted by Father Sal Tedeschi, who's played by Alvaro Morte, to sort of join this beautiful, idyllic Italian countryside convent. But once she has taken her vows, once she gets there, some of the nuns are a bit frosty with her, some kind of take to her. But after she takes her vows, strange things begin to happen. She begins to see figures in the night. Bizarre dreams begin to occur, and then suddenly she takes ill, but then she finds out that she isn't ill at all, and that she's somehow miraculously pregnant. And from there, of course they ask questions. Have you been with a man ever in your life? Have you been with a man before you arrived here? All this, and she's like, no, I never have. And so now the convent and the father and the other priests now begin to believe that she is birthing the second coming of Christ. And that is what I'll leave it with that. So,
Immaculate Conception.
I will say, contrary to common belief, Immaculate Conception doesn't actually refer to the birth of the conception of Jesus Christ, but the conception of Mary herself. Immaculate Conception is supposed to be the fact that she is the first human to be born without the stain of the original sin. It is the reason she's chosen later on by God to rear his child. It's because she, like, when her two parents boing it out in the bed, to use a beautiful term. Just really wanted to make you guys laugh. But yeah, no, like when the idea is that when she is conceived, her conception comes without the stain of the original sin, which every human has from the whole Adam and Eve thing. So she is an immaculate conception. So it's not actually it doesn't actually refer to her conception of Jesus Christ, but her own conception. That's just a fun fact.
Very cool. Well, thank you. I mean, that's your Catholic education coming in handy here on the pod.
It came in handy for once. So yeah, there you go.
But so Immaculate. What I'll say about Immaculate is, as a horror film, I don't think it's really all that scary or frightening. It's kind of interesting because this is obviously, like, with the other horror film I'll review later on, this is definitely the more violent and gory of the two. This is one that has gnarly scenes and stuff, but it's also one that didn't really have like a long lasting creep factor or impact on me. I think it's your typical sort of jump scare fest kind of at the first half. building up all the stuff, and okay, there it comes. But what I will say, that there is a good mystery to it. Like, I was intrigued, I was, going along with it. I was like, oh wait, so what is going on in this place? Why was that nun trying to escape the start? What is going on with the whole, immaculate pregnancy? So that does keep you invested going in. I will say Sydney Sweeney, really, really great lead performance here. She's having to do a lot of really brutal stuff, really sort of emotionally heavy and quite, visceral, reactionary stuff. I think she's great in it, and I kind of like how they sort of play this thing, everyone is, she thinks she's beautiful, and then, other nuns are actually jealous of her beauty, and then also adding on the fact that she has this sort of miraculous pregnancy, they then feel, why was she chosen by God over us? And they sort of build, there sort of becomes like two factions of like those who truly believe that she is the Madonna, and then others who
jealous and hate her,
jealous of why she was given that. But yeah. But that being said, I also kind of, like, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I bet this person's behind it. And in that sense, it kind of was a bit predictable in that part. I was like, I was like, obviously the first answer that came to my head as to what's going on, I was like, I don't think it will be that, because that's too obvious. And then it kind of was that. So I was a bit like, that's kind of a shame. But the mystery kept me... What?
Right, so I won't say anything, but like I was told the kind of.
Oh, you were told. Well, okay, we'll talk about it later.
Right, because I would not have predicted that. I don't want to say it.
Yeah,
but
it's because I thought of another horror film.
We can say it post show and follow.
Yeah,
but
I thought of another horror film, and I was like, well, that kind of has to be the only reasonable thing. I was like, but they won't do that because they did it, and then. It turns out. Anyway,
I'm surprised.
I can't say what horror film I'm talking about,
Yeah, I'm surprised because I was expecting to be more of a psychological exploration.
I mean, they do play obviously
like
that, but what I will say as well,
with the whole idea of the cultish devotion and stuff. Like, do they play into that idea of the religiousness of it all? Or?
Yes, they do. There's a fair bit of religious imagery. There is also this is the other stuff I liked about it as well. Okay, plot wise, I was intrigued by the mystery. Wasn't so impressed by the turnout. Wasn't so scared. It's gory, it's violent, it's whatever. Yeah. But when I was watching, I was really surprised just how kind of bold this film was, because it's one that really questions the idea of interpretation of faith. It's one that really dives into sort of women's control over their own bodies. It's one quite very, very relevant. And sort of just
I assumed that would come into play. Okay, thank God.
Yeah. So there is that whole stuff behind it. I was like, okay, I was very impressed by that, what it was going for and what it was trying to say, and questioning those ideas of faith and the sort of the women's right to control over her own body. And I was like, yeah, this is actually a really engaging sort of progressive ideas here. It's more just... Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't that thrilling to me, and also just I also found that just the mystery was whatever. The ending, I will say this. I know I feel like this when I get to the score, it kind of fits this. Why I'm going back and forth with so many things. When we get to the ending, though, the last 5-10 minutes of this thing, I was like, right, they're not going to do what I think they're going to do, and I'm like, oh my god, they actually did it, and I'm like, this ending is going to piss a lot of people off, let's just say that. I was really surprised they went that way with it. So on that edge, and the ending is getting pretty intense. So I was I was pretty impressed with sort of the way they went with that. And I was
can't wait to hear more about this when we finish the show. I'm so intrigued.
I was like, that makes sense as to why Cecilia would do something like that.
I want to ask you, Louis, because there are films that are very woefully predictable, but are very entertaining. Do you think it's because it relies too much on its mystery for engagement, and that's what made it feel predictable?
Disappointed in myself, because I kind of was expecting it to go more. Right, I was expecting it to be more than it was. I was expecting it something a bit crazier.
It probably has to do with your experience with other kinds of horror movies coming in. You're having
I actually think because I thought my prediction. I know this makes me come off as a fucking smart ass, right? But I'm just saying, my prediction was kind of it was just the easiest, most logical jump as to what it realistically could be, right? And also because of seeing another horror film, I was like, oh, but would they do that? But I was then thinking, oh, surely it's got to be something like Omen or Rosemary's Baby or something like, something gnarly, something more supernatural and all this sort of stuff. And I was just expecting something a bit bigger, but that wasn't really what I got here. But anyway, look, I will say this. Oh, as a horror film, not so scary, but engaging ideas, great performance from Sydney Sweeney, and it kept me engaged. So I'm going to give Immaculate
as well. It looks quite
visually
interesting.
Decently well shot, and I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. And
that's good.
What I will say is Neon's marketing. I don't know if anyone's seen this on Twitter. Neon's marketing of this film,
amazing,
stellar, brilliant, great stuff. I love what they're doing. And that once again ties very heavily into the whole idea and what the film is really talking about. And it was also produced, and also this was a whole passion project by Sydney Sweeney for years. That she's wanted to make this. So there we go. Nice. Right, Kyle, do Drive Away Dolls. Let's do this.
Yes. Do Drive Away Dolls. Okay,
you looked very confused there.
Yeah. Sorry. Drive Away. I cannot speak today. Drive Away Dolls. The film follows Jamie, an uninhibited free spirit, knowing yet another breakup with her girlfriend and her kind of boring friend Marine, who desperately needs to loosen up. So in search of a fresh start, the two embark on an impromptu road trip to Tallahassee, Florida, but things go quickly wrong when they cross paths with a group of intrepid criminals along the way.
Okay.
This film is directed by Ethan Coen, who I was telling this to Lewis earlier. Good fellow. I was writing wee notes beside it, so I've written Ethan Coen, clearly the worst Coen, which is going to start this journey.
So strong. Okay.
Written by Ethan Coen and sorry, I don't actually know what's wrong with me today. Tria Cook, which in comments again. First feature film writing credit, can clearly tell.
It's been cheeky.
So it mainly stars Margaret Qualley, who as Jamie, who most recently she was in that Maid series on Netflix.
She was in Poor Things as well.
Oh yeah,
she was in Poor Things.
She was. Oh, she had quite a small role in Poor Things. To be fair,
small role in that. Yeah.
Was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I want to say as well. And
didn't remember for that.
Greladine that's an incredible second name, and I don't even know how to say it, but it's a good second name. You can look it up. I'm not here. I can't spell names. I can't even see it. And a bunch of other people, including Matt Damon, Pedro Pascal, and Miley Cyrus. Right, spoilers. He's not in it for much. Just give you that spoilers. Don't get your hopes up. Yeah, right. So what we got is it's just a really weird film, and it's one of those films that thinks it's trying to be cool and unique by being weird, but it's not. It's just shit. It also really creeps me out that a man wrote and directed this.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of like lesbian sex in this, and I'm like, oh, Ethan, are you okay, mate? No. You clearly brought in that co-writer just so you can say a woman wrote this film, but that's not helping you here.
Okay. Is it giving like Tarantino on From Dusk Till Dawn?
Kind of. Like, yeah, I'm surprised Ethan Cook didn't kind of like put himself in for a lot of it and kind of just sort of sucking on feet as Tarantino did.
Yeah.
But so we have this film where it is trying to be a bit weird. So the idea is, a Drive Away is, I didn't even know this, but there's a service in the States, but it's set in 1999, where if somebody needs a car from one location to another, they'll hire people who are Drive Away, who will just drive into that location. And that's what these guys are basically doing. But there's something in the back of this car that these criminals need. And they've basically accidentally got it. They didn't realise, and it's a whole like cat and mouse thing. And what we have really here is a really bad comedy, I would say, where it misses a lot of the marks. It does this thing where every once in a while it will just translate to kind of weird, hippie visuals. Have you ever seen an episode of That 70s Show where they do the cutaways and it's all that? Right, imagine that but without the people, and it's there for a solid 90 seconds. and you're kind of going, what is this? It's there a bit too long, doesn't do anything. You're just sitting there. The amount of people in the cinema are kind of going, what?
Oh God,
It just doesn't do anything.
I just looked up the reviews. God damn.
Yeah.
1.8.
Also, the guy, the editor, clearly has discovered transitions on PowerPoint because that's all they use, and it's fucking weird ones. They are completely just useless scenes in this for no reason. The characters don't make any sort of sense. What else did I say? Yeah, someone needs to fire the set manager because I said this to Lewis and it fucking bugs me. You make a film. There's a scene where they're sitting down having champagne and the guy's filling it up and the glass goes from full, half empty, full, half empty. I'm like, oh my God, fire who was on that job. Alright.
The rack where it's just broken.
Yeah. The romance, the two characters are maybe friends and they end up oh my God, I can't even.
It's not a good sign.
No, seriously,
it's not a good sign that you're focusing on
you're gonna give us spoilers. You're gonna give us some spoilers.
Can I give spoilers? Because this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Okay, everyone, get ready for some spoilers for Drive Away Dolls.
Like spoilers for Drive Away Dolls. So the briefcase that they're carrying, right, the whole thing that everybody's trying to get to, is a box of dildos, and the dildos were found by Pedro Pascal, who got his head chopped off. And his head's also with the dildos. Those are the two packages that are in the car. Right. You find out that the dildos are all casts of very influential people. One of them being Matt Damon, who's a senator. Right. That means fuck all. They're not signed. Nobody actually knows what his dick looks like. Right? It's just
dick pics
fucking ridiculous.
Of the senator.
Yeah, but no, it's just dildos. And there's a lot of them them using the dildos, which I think Ethan Coen just wanted to record that, which is a bit weird. So the two guys start friends, and like I said, one of them's a bit more kind of tight and like and they keep going to like lesbian bars or they use another word which I won't say, but that's also kind of what the film's called. Because Lois told me not to say it. And there's a romance that kind of happens, but this is maybe over 3 days. And at the end of it, they're together, and you're like, no. From what you've just told me for the last 90 minutes, Jamie is jump from girl to girl to girl sort of vibe. Doesn't like in the first scene is shown cheating on her long-term girlfriend, and then spends like a day or two on the road with her friend, and then decides to sleep with her just to help her like unwind, and then at the end of it decides that I'm ready to be in this committed relationship. No,
there's no character. There's no character development.
There's
just
absolutely
it has to go from point A to point B. Yeah.
It really, it just fails to be a comedy on basically every level. There's so many random like weird directing choices that were made that just don't make sense. The final note I had was just go watch Bottoms.
That's it. I fucking love Bottoms. What a fantastic film.
I was
thinking of that the whole
time you were talking about it.
Like.
Seriously, the whole time you were talking about it, I was like, this just sounds like a worse Bottoms.
Fucking dumb and just stupid and just not a good film in general.
You're angrier than we were with Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
in this review.
But I don't think he was expecting anything.
I'm now looking at my score, and I'm probably actually going to go way lower because I actually think I had more fun with Ghost. No, did I? I don't know. I hate this film. And I'm very
thing is, you were clearly not expecting anything from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? I was expecting more from Ghostbusters, and I was like, no, I was expecting less from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it was bad, but it wasn't
worse
gone
than
down to the ground bad.
Yeah.
But this was like worse than I was expecting. I'm probably gonna give this probably the same. I'm gonna give it a 3. I originally wrote a 4. But now actually my rage is
talking about it.
My rage is actually up to an all-time high as we can feel.
Yeah.
Because this film is just the first comment I wrote down was what a stupid plot.
Okay.
That's it.
They should put that on the poster. Kyle Lambie.
I feel like,
what
especially like, there's a chance there.
Go watch Bottoms. Put that on the poster.
Go watch Bottoms.
Like, there's a chance there, and like a more talented writer could make something that dumb be the whole point. Like
that's the thing.
Point,
right? That's what I thought it was
the
going
point
for.
Could be the fact that this makes no sense. Why are they so like hold up to try to get this package if it turns out it's not really that important?
One of those,
that could have been the point,
like,
you know?
Kevin Smith movies, like a Clerks, or what's the one about the guys that go to that burger joint? Harold and thing, would you go to White Castle? Like, it feels as meant to be that kind of dumb and stupid, but it doesn't. It's not.
Doesn't have the talent to be.
And it's shit. There you go. There you go.
Well, there we go. So Kyle got the worst end of the stick when it came to reviewing these films this week.
Again. Yeah. You get to veto the next one. Don't worry.
I will do the final review for today, and that is Late Night with the Devil. So Late Night with the Devil was written and directed by Cameron and Colin Cairns brothers, and so this is a really interesting concept. This was already kind of more my vibe in just terms stylistically than something like Immaculate. I think this really kind of spoke to me. So we're set in 1977, and the film kind of opens with this like 5-minute documentary reel, giving the synopsis and tells us the tragic story of the celebrity chat show host Jack Delroy, who's played by David Dastmalchian, who great character actor, side actor. He's been in, you see his face, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He was in Prisoners, he was in Dune Part 1, he was in Blade Runner 2049, The Dark Knight. He's popped up in so many various things as a wee side actor. But here he is the lead. He is the lead here.
Nice.
And plays Jack Delroy. And so we are then informed that what we're about to watch is the lost master tapes of his Halloween special 1977, which he did as this daring attempt to try and become the number one viewed chat show in the US, because he's always throughout his entire career been number 2, if not lower. He's always been just below, I think, who was the other one? Jack... I can't remember the other famous 70s. Jack Carson. I think.
Yeah. James Carson?
Was it James? Oh, I think it was Jack Carson. I saw the bloody film. I should know. And he's always just been below Carson, right? Yeah. And he's never managed to do it. But he has something up his sleeve this Halloween to make sure his show becomes the number 1 in the States. Yeah. And what occurs is something very sinister. So, Late Night with the Devil. I will say from the get-go, having David Dastmalchian in the lead, fantastic, because he's such a good actor, right? And
he really is.
He always fits the role he's always in, and I just loved seeing him finally take the lead, and he is brilliant. I thought he was just phenomenal the entire time. I like his whole demeanor, because the whole film itself is sort of kind of like the repercussions and sort of dealing with your own guilt and shame, right? And just the way it begins, you really buy into his whole charismatic ways. He's been through a lot, like he tells us in the synopsis, and you just like, he just feels like a really genuine person, someone who's clearly putting on a show, and then when like things happen, like the real him starts to come out. I just really, really thought his performance was absolutely terrific, and also does these things. So when you watch it, right, it obviously starts off like you're watching it as if you're seeing it on TV. It's shot, you're getting in the cameras of the chat show, you're seeing it as the audience at home would see it. The same cuts and things, and then of course when it cuts to an ad break, though, you then get to like the whole like in your face behind the scenes stuff. What's going on? What's happening here? Did you hear about this? Blah blah blah. And so you have these very, very chaotic like 2 minutes between the scenes of like them carrying on with the chat show, of what's going on. It kind of fills you in as well of stuff we don't know what's happening, and like interpersonal relationships with some of the guests as well. The guests themselves really great. There was this Carmichael Haig, who's played by Ian Bliss, and the Laura Gordon, who plays June Mitchell, who's this sort of super paranormal therapist person, and the Carmichael character is like a deep cynic. He constantly carries around a check for $100,000 in his pocket for any supernatural person who can truly prove what they're doing is actually supernatural. Right?
That's a take on the magician guy that had like a whole show about that.
He's also a magician as well.
That's a take on a real life man. Yeah.
So you have all these guests come on, and then obviously things. things obviously get, much more serious, and things get darker, and things get weirder as it goes on, and things get very intense as it's paced. I will say this about it. I will say at the start, I was kind of, I was like, right, am I just kind of watching this whole chat show thing? And I was just like, the first like 15 minutes, I was like, right, or when are we going to, get on with this, because it's like I'm just feel like I'm watching a chat show kind of, which is very deliberate obviously, and like a clear testament to sort of the style they're going for, but at the same time, but then when the pace does pick up and it gets really going, and when you get to like the second half, you're like really invested in everything that's going on, and all the drama that's happening on set and with the crew and all the guests and stuff as well. And it was just really engaging. I loved the whole 70s style aesthetic. It was really cool. And yeah, unlike Immaculate, where Immaculate had all the gore and the violence and stuff, this is far more subdued. But this is one, when it ends, the ending is also terrific, by the way. You are like, whoa, God, that actually that left me with something. Things actually got, quite, really tense there. And like, I was like, whoa, wow, that was actually really creepy. And especially because there's also background stuff about certain things which I won't spoil. And yeah, also you see with some of the guests as well, you sort of buy into it. You buy into, wait, is this because they bring on this little girl who apparently can convey messages from the devil, and then you buy it, and then you buy the cynic as well. Like, it's a really interesting back and forth. Yeah, I really had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a really solid horror film. I think. Yeah. I honestly don't know why this is released in March. This is perfect for Halloween. It's a really good Halloween film. It's set on Halloween. It's deal with the whole everyone in the audience is in Halloween costumes. It's got that vibe to it. Yeah. And it felt like I will absolutely watch this Halloween. I absolutely will. I think it's a really terrific sort of creepy film to watch then. Now, however, that being said, I'm going to mention this thing that there's been controversy about this, because there is a few, when it cuts an ad break, there is apparently 3 seconds. I think it's the one with the skeleton.
Yeah. Also in the background in the sets, some of the sets dressing.
Oh, really?
Some of the set designs.
Yeah.
I went through the whole Twitter thread. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I didn't know about the sets. I only knew about the skeleton art. Right, so what were the sets?
It's an owl with on top of the owl, like the black shape of the owl on top of the buildings. The windows make completely no sense on the skyscrapers. They're clearly like just been dotted out by the computer and stuff. Yeah.
But by AI, or was that just
AI? No, like AI generated design. Basically, they just. I mean, I'm guessing they generated it, then like blew it up and made it part of the set. But it is a shame that they.
That is interesting. Now, do you know why the director?
I have no idea.
Chose to do this.
See, I don't even know, because like with productions, I don't know how big the budget for this movie was.
This was not big. I think.
Yeah,
this
but
was
like
maybe
even with medium-sized productions, normally like the art team, like the decisions are kind of like under the art lead, especially things like set design and stuff. Like the director approves of them, but the director tells the art lead what they want, and then the art lead gets his people to work on it and then hand it over and check it and see, hey, is this what we're going for, kind of thing. So I don't know if it was a top-down decision. It might have just been a decision from the specific people that they had doing the art stuff. Maybe even just a rogue artist, working on the schedule and stuff. But yeah, it's very obvious, though. It is very obvious.
It's fairly obvious it's AI, especially around the hands.
That's the thing, right? Because see when it pops up on screen, it's literally on screen for like 2 seconds.
That's
just
the
like
thing.
Comes up and it goes away, right? So you wouldn't unless you look at the image.
Because like, given that that's a post-production thing. Given that that's a post-production thing, I would like say, hey, that's clearly like a thing where they were like, hey, we need a graphic for this while they're editing. Let's just pop one out, kind of thing. Yeah. But the fact that they've spotted some stuff in the background, because some of the backgrounds for the sets seem to have like an AI look to them. Because again, it's not.
The thing is, right?
Yeah.
It not trying to defend it, but if they were making the film now, they would be like, no.
Yeah.
But whenever this film was made, maybe the scrutiny on the use of AI within the industry was maybe pre-strikes.
Yeah, I think
AI
this was filmed. I think 2 years ago. Even this is like an older film.
That's harder to discuss,
to judge.
because this is if they did it now and used it, major issues. I'm not saying it was a good thing, but maybe back 2 years ago.
I also find it very bizarre.
It's weird that they haven't talked about it or addressed
They have all the other artwork in the film, all the other sets, all the other costume designs, the script, the performances. Everything is really up there, really solid. So it's
that's what's strange about it.
I honestly don't understand.
That's what I mean by it was either a purposeful choice of them wanting it to look off. And maybe because it was a decision made prior to like the AI becoming more.
Artists
can. You can.
Like,
but like the same thing that happened with.
That's a big
That's a big question. No, but like the same bullshit that like happened with the Secret Invasion stuff, where like it was a group of designers that chose to use it, and the way they justified it was like, oh, we wanted it to look weird and off. It's like sure. Yeah. But like, what's interesting to me is I haven't heard much from the director or the studio or the team, neither defending it nor apologizing.
You've been in contact with them?
No, I've just they haven't emailed me. They haven't emailed me saying sorry to you personally.
They've not called
all day, man, all day. I tweeted my phone number, nothing.
But look, that is a shame that is behind it because. Yeah. Late Night with the Devil is a really solid, entertaining ride. Bit unevenly paced at the start, I will say that. But once you get into it, it really gets going, and a great Halloween watch. If you aren't able to catch it in cinemas when it comes out, wait till Halloween, guys. Yeah. Trust me, it's a great watch then. And I'm going to give Late Night with the Devil an 8 out of 10. So that will wrap up today's show, guys. So thank you very much, Gonzalo, for joining me.
Absolute pleasure being here. Yeah.
And thank you, Kyle, as well.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you for the reviews and follow.
Yes, I know.
As always.
I like every week I sacrifice myself and watch several films just for your enjoyment. So you're welcome.
Just not from this year.
No.
It's just he does watch several films. They're just years ago.
No, that just came out. Yeah.
But on next week's show,
yes.
You know what we're talking about? We're talking about Godzilla x Kong, the New Empire. Yes. Awful title. Don't know what's wrong with the word "and," but okay.
It's because they're no longer dating, man. They're exes.
It's not cool, Lewis.
Yeah. It's not cool. I'm sorry. It's not cool.
Yeah.
You know,
it's about their relationship and how it's broken.
That's true. Anyway, we're going to do a full spoiler-filled and spoiler-free review for the latest of the Warner Brothers franchise. So yeah, that will be on next week's episode. But until then, we just give our opinions on Roadhouse, Immaculate, Late Night with the Devil, Drive Away Dolls, and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. But at the end of the day, yes, those were our unwanted opinions. Thank you very much.